Okay, so let's talk about the other end of the Hasbro spectrum in the Infinityverse, and that is the Autobots, or I guess the Transformers on a whole. So, Transformers on a whole, much like with G.I. Joe, like I said in the G.I. Joe video, in this universe, in the Infinityverse, we kind of cherry-picked all the elements of Transformers, although we mainly stick to a fusion of the 80s cartoon with the IDW comics. So, yeah, but we do cherry-pick a lot of, like I said with G.I. Joe, we cherry-pick a lot of, like, elements from other shows, or make them this universe's version of that character, or this character. Yeah. We don't, there are Transformers out in the multiverse, but for the most part, yeah, a lot of the Autobots and Decepticons you see are, like I said, this is an amalgam of it. So, in this continuity, the Transformers were technically the first superheroes to show up in the Infinityverse timeline. They, instead of, however, appearing in the 80s, they appeared in 1997. They awoke in 1997 instead of, I think, 86, yeah. So, about roughly 10 years later than the original show. But in this continuity, they were kind of fighting a secret war for several years until Cobra worked alongside the Decepticons. They actually made an alliance with the Decepticons, which the Decepticons and Cobra still have an alliance in the Infinityverse. They are very, like, tight. Like, they're not, like, friends, but, they work together. Like, they really do, they have a symbiotic relationship, meaning that Megatron and the other Decepticons will give them Cybertronian tech to use, and in return, Cobra will give some of its resources and convert it into Energon for, the Decepticons to consume and keep fighting the Autobots. So yeah, there's like a symbiotic relationship between the two. They're not friends, like I said, but like I was saying, when the Decepticons made an alliance with Cobra, the Autobots were forced to reveal themselves to the world in the early 2000s, and they were like, "Hey, we've been here since the late 90s, fighting in a secret war. We don't want to cause any problems, but these Decepticons are bad." So yeah, G.I. Joe and the Autobots worked together for a while, and eventually the Infinity League was formed, and the Autobots joined, and Optimus Prime was made the 7th leader of the Infinity League. The Infinity League had initially the first 6 members were the first 6 leaders, and the 6 leaders are, of course, Kim Possible, Jenny from My Life as a Teenage Robot, Shizao, the Ninja, from Randy Cunningham, 9th Grade Ninja, Danny Phantom, and Jake Long, American Dragon. So yeah, Kim, Danny, all of them. Yeah, and they elected Optimus to be the 7th member, because they were like, what if we get into, like, a tie or something, or, like, we need, like, a 7th member to be, like, a tiebreaker or something, and plus, it's Optimus goddamn Prime. Of course he should be a leader among us. So, as you also may know, is that Optimus has got himself a bit of a secret to him. So, yeah, in the Infinityverse, as of now, in the Dark Phoenix event story, it's revealed that Optimus was a member of this group called the Illuminati, which also consisted of, like, Moon Butterfly, Forward Pines, Washu from Tenchi Muyo, Ozpin. There were several members in this team, and what they did a lot of shady shit, and the first thing they did with shady shit was banish the Phoenix Force from this universe into another universe, but now it's back, and Optimus didn't tell anybody. So you can imagine that not just the League are kind of mad at Optimus, but they're also but the Autobots themselves are pretty pissed off. It's fracturing the Autobot alliance, and meanwhile Megatron's just kind of enjoying it with a bowl full of Energon, just like, I'm loving this. So the other thing I should stress is that Cobra and the Decepticons work outside of the Society of Supervillains, the group Black Hat leads with all these other supervillains. They're kind of above it, but they will work with them. They do kind of work with them, but they don't consider themselves members of the Society of Supervillains. At least not now. Will that change? Don't want to say. But yeah, so the like I said, it's not just, like I said, I've also talked about the Cybertron Homeworld War on here. I did that a little while ago. I talked about the Cybertron Homeworld War. There's also other Autobots and Decepticons out in the galaxy. There are there are many others. In fact, Shockwave has, without Megatron's knowledge, because in his mind, well, he gave me jurisdiction over Cybertron, so I can do whatever I want without asking him first. So, Shockwave made an alliance with the United Galaxy, called the United Galaxy. And the United Galaxy is basically all these alien empires who are just done fighting each other and want to form a kind of like a United Nations of different galaxies. And Shockwave allowed it because now he doesn't have to fight, he doesn't have to waste his time and what little resources Cybertron has left to fighting all these empires. Now he can focus on his experiments and his own, he can focus on the Autobots that are still hiding on Cybertron. So, rather than, bother with all of that, he can now focus on, what he considers more important matters. But like I was saying in here, Optimus is he's paying for his own sin, and what the Illuminati did for their own sins. There's also Vector Prime, who is a member of this group called the Cosmic Council, who are basically all these different powerful beings from different parts of the multiverse, and he's a member of that. Of these grand cosmic beings who kind of watch over everything. But yeah. What else am I forgetting? Oh yeah, there's also, like I said, there's Autobots and Decepticons out in the world, and some of them don't have... A lot of these Decepticons who are out in the galaxy don't have a... Some of them don't have an allegiance to Megatron, and some of them are out in the galaxy far, far away. Who kind of allegiance to themselves and have their own kind of ideas of how to rule. And let's talk about another big thing. Unicron. Unicron is... actually, it's kind of funny, because our Unicron is like a combination of... He's our Galactus slash anti-Monitor. He's actually more of our anti-Monitor. Because, Transformers Armada, our Unicron can traverse the multiverse. And he actually visited Earth over 5,000 years ago and fought the Pharaoh Atem and a lot of heroes from the past in this storyline we called Infinity League BC. So that story's still got one chapter, and we're working on it, and yeah. But, like I was saying, Unicron is like our anti-Monitor. He is pretty much the guy who's wrecking universes, and he can traverse the multiverse with ease of just how powerful he is. So, yeah, it goes without saying that Unicron is a big dude in here. So, there's also, you may know what we're going to do with the Transformers in this continuity. I can assure you, you don't. I assure you, right off the bat, you have no idea what's in store for the Transformers line in here. Because, like I've said before in the Infinityverse, there's no back to status quo. And if there is, it's few and far between. And when a change happens, 9 times out of 10, it's gonna stay permanent in the Infinityverse. It's not like in Marvel Comics where it's like, oh, it's now like, it's been retconned or it's been back to status quo. No, that will hardly happen in the Infinityverse. So when something changes, and it's gonna have a big impact, it's gonna stay a big impact, I assure you. And if something does go back, it's because for story reasons, and those are going to be few and far between. And even then, they'll still be like, it will still not be the same as it once was, is what I'm saying. Is like, if anything does change, it won't stay that way like as it once was. Like, there'll still be stuff hanging over the characters. So, anyway. Yeah, so there you go. Like I said, the main thing that we're doing with Transformers is that we are basically like it's a major amalgam of different shows and anime. But our main two focus were G1, you know, Transformers, you know, the G1 cartoon, and the IDW comics. So, having said that, there might be some characters outside of the Autobots and Decepticons that you may be seeing in the future. Think on that for a bit. So there you go, guys. But once again, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.